Friends, please listen to this story carefully because it will be useful for your entire life. Hello, friends. Welcome to Buddha the Untold. There once was a wealthy merchant who was always successful wherever he went to trade. He had never faced failure in his life, and his business was thriving. His father had taught him 4 important principles, which he followed diligently. These principles were the reason behind his happy and prosperous life, and he succeeded in every area of life. Bodhi could happen at any moment. He knew that his son was innocent and naive and still didn't fully understand the ways of the world. So he called his son to his side and said, "Son, I learned 4 lessons from my father, which I implemented in my life. These principles are the reason for my success and happiness. Today, I am content and satisfied with my life. Thanks to these principles, I have never faced illness or financial difficulty, and as you can see, I am the wealthiest man in this city. But today, I am happy with everything I have, and I want you to surpass me, earn more fame and wealth, and make a name for yourself. Our time was different, and your upcoming time will be different as well." The wealthy merchant then called his son closer and said, "Today, I will tell you the same 4 important lessons that my father taught me. By following these principles, I achieved all the success I have today. If you apply these lessons in your life and follow them diligently, you too will become wealthy and live a prosperous life. By adhering to these principles, your family will never face sorrow, and you will never experience difficulties in your business." After saying this, the wealthy merchant began sharing the 4 lessons with his son. 1. Go to work in the shade and return in the shade. 2. Keep a leather barrier around your house. 3. Always eat something sweet with your meals. 4. Always keep your wife tied up. Having shared these lessons, the wealthy merchant was at peace, knowing that his son, although naive, would surely follow his advice and apply these principles in his life. Several months passed, and one day the wealthy merchant passed away. After his father's death, the son wrote down the 4 lessons on a piece of paper so he wouldn't forget them, and he began to apply them in his life. The first lesson was to go to work in the shade and return in the shade. So, since he had plenty of money and no one to stop him, he had a tent built along the entire path from his house to his shop. Whenever anyone asked why he had done this, he simply replied, "My father told me to." Next, he followed his father's second lesson. He built a leather wall around his house. Seeing this, people in the neighborhood became very angry. Some even started arguing with him, saying, "Why did you build this leather wall? It smells terrible, and it's causing us discomfort. Remove it immediately." But no one could do anything to him because he had so much money. Eventually, people stopped opposing him. He was determined to follow his father's advice with all his heart. The third lesson his father had given him was to always eat something sweet with his meals. So every day he would have his wife prepare sweets, sometimes saviyan, sometimes halwa, or other desserts. This became his daily routine. Finally, his father had given him the 4th lesson. He used to bind his wife every day, as he took his father's words literally and misunderstood them. Days passed, and gradually, his life began to fall apart. His father's advice, which he had followed incorrectly, was now ruining him. His large business started to collapse, and the number of customers decreased. He would go to his shop whenever he felt like it and return home whenever he wanted, showing no interest in his father's hard-built business. His lack of attention drove the customers away one by one, and the entire business, built with his father's blood and sweat, was destroyed in just a few months. Now, with barely any business left, he was troubled. His house was surrounded by a leather wall that caused a terrible stench, making neighbors move away. Even his friends and relatives began avoiding him due to the smell. Despite everything, he couldn't understand why his life was turning out this way. He was always anxious, ate a lot of sweets, and gained excessive weight, leading to numerous health problems. His money was being wasted on medical treatments, and his father's 4th advice, to bind his wife, had driven her away to her parents' house. He tried hard to bring his wife back, using various methods, but she refused. After all, no woman would want to live with a man who unjustly binds her every day. Soon, his entire life was in ruins. He had no business, no wealth, no wife, and even those relatives who used to hang around him for money had disappeared. His health deteriorated further, adding to his distress. He remained confused about why all this was happening. Frustrated, he often cursed his father, blaming him for the ruin of his life. He would say, "Father, you destroyed my entire life. Because of your 4 pieces of advice, I lost everything: my business, wealth, relatives, wife, and even my health. I could have lived a happy life if I hadn't followed your words. What did I gain by following your advice? Like a dutiful son, I followed everything you said, but I was a fool for believing in you blindly." One day, he heard about a sage in a nearby town who could solve anyone's problems. No matter how big or small the issue, the sage always found a solution. Hearing this, he thought, "Let me go and see, maybe the sage can help me too." With hope, he went to see the sage. Upon reaching, he fell at the sage's feet and cried uncontrollably. He said, "O Guru, only you can save me now. My father ruined my entire life. Whatever I am today is because of him. I did everything my father told me, like an obedient son, and look at the result. Even on his deathbed, my father taught me the wrong things, and today I am paying the price for it. I followed all his advice blindly, and now my life is in ruins. I still don't understand why my father did this to me. Did I do something wrong to him?" Saying this, he began to cry even more in front of the sage. The sage then said to the son of the merchant, "Son, quiet down. First, tell me everything. What happened to you? Why are you crying like this? What is the cause of your distress?" Hearing this, the merchant's son handed over a note to the sage, which he had written after his father's death. It contained the 4 pieces of advice his father had given him. The sage took the note and started reading it. As he read, he began to laugh loudly and said to the merchant's son, "You are such a fool. Your father gave you all the knowledge of the world, but you failed to understand it. You did not follow it correctly, and now you claim that your father showed you the wrong path. You misunderstood his message. Your father was testing you to see whether you could understand his words and derive the right meaning from them. If he wanted, he could have explained everything to you clearly, but he wanted you to learn the meaning on your own, to understand what those words truly meant. But it seems your intellect has become completely corrupted. I have never seen a bigger fool than you. How can someone with such vast knowledge of the world be so foolish? You have no real knowledge. You did not acquire any wisdom at all. If you had understood the true meaning of his words, you would have succeeded in life just like your father, been happy, and lived a life full of joy. But you are such a fool that you misinterpreted your father's words. You didn't even consider what those words meant. You simply did what he said without thinking. If you didn't understand the meaning of his advice, you could have met a wise person to clarify it. But the way you understood your father's words is not how they were meant to be understood." In response, the wealthy merchant's son said, "O revered Guru, what do you mean? Am I not understanding my father's words correctly? Moreover, what is there to understand? He explained everything clearly, and I implemented it in my life just as he said. So what wrong did I do?" The Guru smiled again and replied, "Son, the words written here have a deep meaning behind them, which you did not comprehend. Because of this, you made this foolish mistake and wasted your entire life. But it's not too late. You still have time. If you wish, you can work hard from now on and regain the happiness and prosperity you once had." Hearing this, the merchant's son asked, "All right, please explain the meaning of those 4 points. What do those 4 points actually mean?" The sage then told the merchant's son, "Your father told you to go to work in the shade and return in the shade. This means that you should reach the shop before sunrise and return home only after sunset, so that you can spend as much time as possible at the shop. This way you will understand the work better, perform it well, and put your mind into expanding it, leading to your progress in that work. But you misunderstood this. Instead, you put up a tent from your house to the shop so you could go and come in the shade. Now tell me, did you really understand the true meaning of your father's words?" Upon hearing this, the merchant's son began to cry loudly, saying, "O Guru, it was my mistake. I misunderstood my father's words, and that's why I am completely ruined today. I was the biggest fool. My father gave me such important knowledge, but I mistook that diamond for a stone." He then asked the Guru, "Guru, what is the second point? What does it mean?" The Guru explained the second point, to build a leather fence. This means that you should keep a dog or cat in your home. When you have a dog or cat at home, it will protect your house from all sides, ensuring that your wealth remains secure, allowing you to focus on your shop without worry. You will be able to understand the work at the shop and make progress. Furthermore, you won't have to fear that a thief might come and steal your possessions. This is the true meaning of building a leather fence. But you interpreted it in a completely different way. You completely filled the 2 walls of your house with leather, which caused a foul odor to spread around. Your neighbors left their homes, and even your friends and relatives avoided coming to your house due to the stench. Now the situation has become such that no one comes to your house or visits, leading people to dislike you. This is also a reason for your downfall. The wealthy merchant's son then said, "O Guru, that may be true, but what about the advice to eat sweet food? Have I also misunderstood that? According to my father's words, I have eaten something sweet every day, and just look at how heavy my body has become. As a result, I am afflicted with various diseases. Am I misunderstanding this too?" The sage replied, "Yes, you have also misunderstood this. The meaning of eating sweet food is that you should only eat when you are very hungry, neither before nor after. Otherwise, if you are not hungry and food is presented to you, you will never appreciate that food. That bread will never taste sweet to you, no matter how delicious it is. But when a person is extremely hungry, even if you give them plain bread, it feels as precious as a 5-course meal. They eat it with love, respect it, and it tastes sweet to them. This is why your father said to eat sweet food, so that your health remains good. When a person eats when they are hungry, it is like nectar for them. Conversely, if a person eats when they are not hungry, it is like poison and can cause them great harm. But you misunderstood this too. You started eating sweets every day, which led to weight gain and allowed various diseases to take root in your body, bringing you closer to death. Therefore, from now on, you should only eat when you are extremely hungry. This will greatly benefit you and help keep your body healthy. And you should never eat when you are not hungry, as this will prove very harmful to you. This was your 3rd mistake, which is ruining your entire life." The wealthy merchant's son said, "The 4th point is written quite clearly, always keep your wife bound. Does that have a different meaning as well? Have I misunderstood this too?" In response, the sage said, "Yes, my son, keeping your wife bound does not mean physically tying her up with a rope every day. What it actually means is that whenever there is a disagreement or some arguments between you, you should not resort to violence against your wife. As long as a woman feels that her husband is committed to her, she will strive to fulfill her role in the relationship completely. During times of conflict or mistakes, if you do not abandon her, she will never leave you. However, this does not mean that you should mistreat your wife. Your father wanted to convey that anyone who is connected to you in a relationship should be bound in such a way that they cannot cause harm to you or take advantage of you, even after conflicts and arguments. Always keep your relationships secured and do not leave them open, otherwise, they will slip away from you. Most people make this mistake in their lives by not giving enough time to their new relationships, causing them not to grow strong enough, and ultimately losing those relationships. This was the mistake you made as well. You kept your wife bound in a way that she could not forgive you, and that is why she left you. What you did to your wife was unforgivable, but you should apologize to her because you were wrong. So go and ask for forgiveness from your wife and bring her back home. These were the 4 things your father was trying to explain to you. But you have misunderstood all these points, and that's why you have completely ruined yourself. However, you still have plenty of time. If you correctly follow all these teachings, you can regain everything you have lost in your life. These teachings provide solutions to all the troubles in our lives. You can view them in any way. If you want to succeed, you must work hard. You should leave your house before sunrise and return only after sunset so that no one can take away your wealth. You must bind your relationships in a way that they do not trouble you, harm you, or take advantage of you. Always eat good and healthy food only when you are hungry so that you can live joyfully with the breaths you have received. And always keep your relationships secured. Do not leave them open, or they will slip away from you. Additionally, make sure to have a dog or cat at home so that your wealth remains protected. By following all these teachings in your life, you can regain everything you have lost and perhaps achieve even greater success, attain more prosperity, and make your life joyful and fulfilling. After saying this, the sage fell silent, and the merchant's son understood all his mistakes. He bowed to the guru and returned home. He implemented all 4 teachings in his life and followed them correctly. After that, positive changes began to appear in his life. He succeeded in rebuilding his business, was able to bring his wife back home, and before long, his life became joyful and happy. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this story today and learned something from it. You can share your thoughts about the story in the comments section below. Before leaving, Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Let's meet again with a new story. Until then, take care of yourself. Thank you, Namo Buddha.